Hello, welcome to Homestead Thursdays with Gloria. I want to say thank you to everyone who tuned in last week. Thank you to everyone who has been liking, loving, sharing my videos, who have been leaving comments and asking questions, and even who have done some of my polls. I appreciate it. I am back today to show you what I've been doing in the kitchen. And I believe this is going to be a good show today because I've got so many good things to share with you. Let me go ahead and get right into it. All right, the first thing that I want to share with you is what I did with some of those peaches. I made a peach upside down cake. My first time ever making it. I got this idea from Facebook, and the recipe on Facebook actually calls for a box of yellow cake mix, and I had gotten it, but this recipe right here is from scratch. This was not a vegan recipe. I simply just swapped out the dairy or the egg ingredients for non-dairy. Okay, I will post this recipe. I will say that one thing that I did get from the Facebook video was adding peaches inside the actual batter. So I took that and kind of combined the two in that way. This is excellent. Both Mario and I tried it. I am not even a peach fan, and I love this. It is very light and airy. It was not hard to make. I will be keeping a little bit and sending the rest to work with Mario so he can share it with his guys. I have got to make this again. I am just so thrilled at how well it turned out. I'm sure this will be wonderful with some vegan ice cream. Excellent. I will be sure to drop the recipe for this one as well as the Facebook link for the easier one with the box cake if that's something you would like to try. I'm going to go ahead and cover that up and show you what I did with my sourdough starter. I made coffee cake. Now, I put a poll on Facebook. I asked several people commented on what should I do with my sourdough starter, because the last time I redid those flatbreads for pizza, because when I made it the first time I was doing the raw detox, so I couldn't taste it, and I made it again. I loved it. Still have some in the freezer. I'm sure I'll make it again. But I was trying to figure out what should I do with my sourdough starter this time. Should I make donuts? Should I make bagels? Should I make crackers? And I put coffee cake on there. So several people said coffee cake. Thank you so much to the ones. I believe that was Angie, Christy. You all said that I should do the coffee cake. I have been wanting to do this. So glad that I did. This was a very involved recipe because I had to make the topping, I had to make the filling, and I had to make the batter. But once all of that was completed, it was pretty easy because you just put half of the batter and then you put the filling, the other half of the batter, and then the top coating. Now, it was optional to use pecans, but I did. Mario likes pecans. I'm not a big pecan fan, but I think it's growing on me. I think my taste buds have changed since I stopped eating meat, because there are a lot of things that I will like to eat now that I didn't like before. And so this was just very easy to make after I gathered the ingredients. This was not a vegan recipe. I just swapped out the dairy and egg ingredients for non-dairy and vegan ingredients. Very easy. This probably is more on the expensive side, however, because it calls for so many ingredients. I had them all at home, but just if this is something you're interested in making, it is expensive. All right, this brought back childhood memories. I love coffee cake, crumb cakes, the little Debbie snacks and whatnot. But what I told Mario was I was very shocked. I always thought coffee cake had coffee in it, but it didn't have coffee in it. Mario says that they call it coffee cake because you can eat it with your coffee. I guess I can see that, but wonderful. I will make this again. Absolutely amazing. And I wasn't sure if I was even going to make this but I went ahead and did it because I will be starting that raw detox again on Friday for 2 weeks. And I didn't want to wait 2 or 3 weeks to try this. So I'm so glad I made it. Oh, this is amazing. I'm sorry, I probably should have moved on by now. But I will drop that recipe if that's something that you would like to try. I probably will include another poll on my sourdough starter so that I can see what you would like to see with that the next time. All right, I'm going to cover this up and move on to the next thing. All right. Mario and I, not too long ago, we had went up to Cincy to visit my folks. And my mom, she surprised us with some vegan soul food. And it was amazing. So I brought back the leftovers. And by almost a week's time, I had ran out. So I did something that I normally don't do. I made some soul food myself to add to it. Because I had some cornbread left from her and some macaroni and cheese left from her. But we were out of cabbage. We were out of yams. And she had actually made sweet potatoes. So I said, I am going to venture out and try it. All right, I'm not a big soul food cooker. When my mom and grandma cook, they cook by themselves so they can get it done. Nobody to slow them down. However, I will say, before I moved out on my own, I sat in my mom's kitchen when I was living with her. And I wrote down some of her recipes. And so I went back to my recipe book and I found these recipes. And that's what I used. The cabbage was really good. Very simple to make. Took some cabbage, cut it up, took the core out, cooked it down in some water with some vegan butter. And then just different seasonings. I had red pepper flakes, seasoning salt, salt and pepper, onion powder, garlic powder, and some red onion. Next time when I make it, I will probably add some minced garlic. And I will probably add more red onion or yellow onion, whatever onion I have. But for my first time, this was really good. I think my mom would be proud if she could taste it. I think that my granddad would be proud too because he could cook some cabbage. And it was good. And I remember one day he showed me how to cook it. But I didn't write it down. And I wasn't doing big cooking back in those days. So I'm glad that I tried my hand at something that I normally do not do. And it turned out really well. And you can see the yams in the back. Very simple to make as well. Took a can of yams, drained them, added some brown sugar, some white sugar, cinnamon, nutmeg, and some vegan butter. And popped it in the oven. Not that long. Mixed it up. Absolutely amazing. I think the next time I can stand for it to be a little bit sweeter. But Mario, he said it was banging. And I would have to agree with him. Both of them were really good. And actually, in a couple of weeks, my folks are going to come down and visit. So I might see if I can pull off a whole vegan soul food meal. Do you think that I can do it? Drop what you think in the comments. Mario tells me that the sky's the limit. I can do whatever. Take the limits off myself. And so this was just a little first step. All right, because I'm used to cooking one pot meals. But this, although it took some time, I know that I can do the cabbage now. I know that I can do yams. I know that I can do corn. Although I like doing roasted corn better in the oven. I know that I can do cornbread. I'm going to try my hand at some mac and cheese. I'm going to try my hand at some vegan meatloaf. I just have so many things that I want to try. The possibilities definitely have opened up. All right, I'm going to move right along. Now, I had a lot of apples that I needed to use up from that visit with my mom and grandma. And then I told them, give me your apples. I will juice them. And so I juiced them. And to make it shelf stable, I canned it. I found a recipe where you juice your apples, you let it sit in the fridge for a couple of days, and then you get it in the pot to boiling. You know, you sift it through a sieve or a mesh strainer. However, just to kind of get as much rudiment or sediment out. I think maybe sediment is the word. And then you just water bath can it for 5 minutes. And so I was able to turn 3 of these out. And whenever I try it, I will let you know if it tastes just as good as apple juice homemade normally does. Now, when I do my raw detox, I will have to remember that I cannot drink this because I had to boil it, okay? So the temperature on this was too high. But that's my apple juice. I can something new. Very exciting. Moving right along. Now, last week I showed you all the sun tea that I made. Last week I made peppermint with lemon and ginger tea. This week I did lemon with jasmine and green tea. And this time I actually sweetened it. Now, I had a wonderful day to make this sun tea. The sun was just out all day long. I was able to position this in my car. I used the driver's seat and I was able to sit it against the steering wheel and my cushion on my seat, and the sun just hit it all day long. It had an absolutely beautiful color. I used 1 cup of monk fruit sweetener, and I think it needs to be a little more sweet, so next time I'll use 2 cups. And so when we drink it, we just add a little bit of sweetener to make it more sweet. Oh, it's so good. I can't wait to do the next tea. I'm not certain what I might try. Maybe I'll try lemongrass because I love lemongrass tea. So you'll have to tune back in and see what I do next week. All right, I'm going to move along. I have been doing a lot of dehydrating. So let me tell you about some things that I've been dehydrating. These right here are dehydrated plums, which turn down into prunes. I like them. I will say that they're a little chewy, so I probably could have taken them out of the oven sooner. However, I'll eat 3 or 4 at a time. Love it. Very good. Moving on to the fruit leather that I made. This is peach fruit leather. This is watermelon fruit leather. I believe that they both need work. And, you know, this is just about the 3rd or 4th time I've done it. So I'm sure as I continue to do it, I'll get better and better. Mario, he likes the watermelon. He says it's a little different, but he does like it. I wasn't sure how it would turn out because watermelon has such a huge water content. And then the peach, I believe it needs some work. Mario said it could be a little bit sweeter, but he thinks that the texture is very similar to your fruit roll-up. All right. So that's the fruit leather that I've done. I want to try a different fruit leather this week. So tune in to see if I do a new fruit leather. And then I made some watermelon jerky. And that's where you just take your watermelon, you chop it up or cut it up however thin you want it. And then you place it in the oven on warm and let it cook down. Or actually it's not cooking, but it's taking all the water out. So it dehydrates down and shrinks. And then you've got watermelon jerky. That's how people make their own beef jerkies or meat jerkies at home. All right. So I got this idea from a dehydrating group as well. Mario likes it. He says it's a little different, but he does like it. So I probably will make that again. I don't know. Maybe next summer if things are well, because I don't know if we'll be able to find a seeded watermelon again. And it's a lot of work breaking down those huge watermelons. I think I've gotten about 5 of them this summer. I'll just have to see. All right. I also did some more raisins. These are black grape raisins. These are the first raisins I did from the white grape, so you can see the difference in the color. These grapes are good. Both grapes are good, but I will say that I think the black grape raisins kind of remind me more of what your typical raisin tastes like. All right, and I have some red grapes that I plan to dehydrate as well so that I can see what those taste like. And hopefully when I do those, I'll have a few from each kind so we can see what the difference is in color. Texture is very similar, however. This brought up a very interesting conversation with Mario and I, because raisins generally are seedless. And so I use seedless grapes, although I generally don't buy seedless grapes, but I wanted to try these raisins. I'm pretty sure I could probably take some seeded grapes next summer because I can't find any more right now. And you probably could dehydrate those. I just wonder if the seed would be bothersome since the grape shrivels down into the raisin. I don't know. It may be something I try. It's probably going to be something I look up. Do they make seeded raisins? Did they ever have seeded raisins? Do you know anything about that? If so, comment below. That was just an interesting conversation that came up between Mario and I. All right, and let me tell you about what's in those 2 jars. This is dehydrated carrot. This is dehydrated celery. Now just this little bit, was actually 2 bags of baby carrots. And this is a little bit more, but this little bit of celery was actually 3 bags of celery stalks. And so, chop them down with Mario's help. That's how small they dehydrated. And a lot of times people dehydrate to preserve, because I wasn't going to be able to use these carrots and celery before they went bad, but I didn't want them to go to waste. So I dehydrated them, and you should be able to bring them back, rehydrating by boiling and cooking them in water. So when I get to that point, I will let you know how it turns out. And I will say, in some of these dehydrating groups, they talk about even where you can do basically soup in a jar. Everything that you would normally put in your soup, dehydrate it, add it with some, maybe a veggie bouillon cube or whatever type of stock you use, and then some dry noodles, put a air absorber in there, and then you've got soup in a jar. And I want to try that at some point. So I probably will use some of this, see what about I can do with dehydrating some potatoes, maybe some other vegetables. I mean, the possibilities are just limitless. All right, so I'm going to move on. I've got 2 more things that I want to share with you. Give me a moment while I move these out of the way. All right. Now, I do some shopping at the Dollar Tree, and I get their baggies. Now, I know some people don't do baggies because of plastic in the environment. I'm not there yet. So this is a regular size sandwich baggie. I wanted to share with you what I found. Let me show you. The Dollar Tree has these sandwich baggies, but they call them jumbo size. You can see it right there. Oh, let me show you. Jumbo size. And you can see how much larger it is than your regular sized baggie. But what I noticed is that jumbo size baggie is the same size practically as a quart size baggie. And for the same amount, you can get more if you get the jumbo size sandwich baggies over just the quart sized sandwich baggies. All right, so I did want to share that with you. I thought that was very interesting. I probably will start buying the jumbo size sandwich baggies instead of the quart bags because I can get more for the same price. Something I wanted to share with you. And then one more thing, maybe 2 if I remember. I'm going to move that over. Also at the dollar store, they have these. They're called cover-ups, and they're by Shore Fresh. They're so cute. They remind me of the little hair nets that people wear when they're working or in the shower. But it's for food. It comes with 17, and they have different sizes. You can see 4 small, 7 medium, 6 large. And this is what they look like. This is the small one. It has like the red at the bottom, so you'll know it's a small. This is the medium. It's got blue at the bottom. And this is the large. It's got white at the bottom. I use these often for food prep like this because I actually, with so much fresh fruit and fresh produce, I deal with a lot of fruit flies. So if I don't want fruit flies to get in my food, or if I've got something that's going to go in the fridge, but I can't put it in the fridge at that moment I use these. You can throw them away or you can wipe them out and reuse them. These are just very good when you're doing food prep and whatnot, storage in the kitchen. So I want to share that with you. All right, another thing. If you see that little apple in the back, that apple is filled with a vinegar solution to trap the fruit flies. All right, you can see a little fruit fly right there, the little bugger. Now, I will say that I saw a recipe where you can just take apple cider vinegar, put it in a container, and poke holes in the lid. And then on top of the apple cider vinegar, put some dishwashing liquid, and you can trap the fruit flies that way. And I probably will try that at some point. I have 2 more fillings for this apple that I'll use. I got it from Kroger's. It's $6.99 for 2 uses. They say that you should be able to use it up to 90 days, but they don't last that long for me. It might be maybe 2 weeks per use, and you get 2 uses out of it. So I'll try to drop the link on Facebook in the comments where it talks about how you can make that mixture. All right, just a couple of updates and then I will be done. I'm going to go ahead and switch this kombucha out with the new one. I'm going to go ahead and bottle and flavor this kombucha. I've been trying to wait for it to get strong, and what I realized is when I made my first kombucha, I let the tea steep for over an hour. This kombucha, I only let the tea steep for maybe 10 minutes, so it will never get as strong as the first one. So I am going to flavor it. I've got all type of fruit. I've got nectarines, plums, peaches, melon, honeydew, pineapple, strawberries, blueberries, kiwi. That's what I will be doing with my homestead a lot this week. It's flavoring that this kombucha for the second fermentation, and then starting my new kombucha, which will be some green tea and some black tea mixed together. And I will be sure to let that steep so it can be very strong. Another update, those fermented pickles, I trashed those. I could not get past the smell or the look. Didn't like them. So that was a negative. And also I needed to update about the sprouted chickpeas. When I first started it, I only rinsed it once a day. And then I was trying to speed it up, rinsing it 2 times a day. And I think what was happening was the chickpeas were not draining as much as they needed to be drained. And so it started to turn black. So I trashed those, and I will retry that with this upcoming detox. And I'll just be sure to go slow with it, be more careful, make sure I get all that water off from the rinse, and hopefully that will turn out much better. All right. And that is me, Gloria, on Homestead Thursdays. This one was a little more content. It was a little longer. I will tell you that I was a little afraid that I wouldn't have enough content, because for some reason, since I haven't been cooking a lot of big meals, I kind of feel like I haven't been busy, but I have been busy. I've really just been doing a lot of dehydrating. So that's my big thing right now. But thank you for tuning in. Like, love, share this video, comment, and I will see you next Thursday. Shalom.